Alrighty, we're all set. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Rosie Speaks. Today, I have my friend Hector, whose SEA name I'm not going to pretend to pronounce, so he's going to pronounce it for me. I'm sorry, what is it?
It's Silenus. Silenus
there we go.
Of Mycenae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am lucky enough to have him on my show today. Hold on, I'm being attacked by my dog. Go away. Hey, stop biting me. Come on. Go inside. Come on. Hey, butthole, go inside. Come on. Go. Okay, just kidding. Let's try that one more time.
Okay.
Hi, Silenus. Welcome.
Hi. Awesome.
So thank you so much for coming and joining me on my show. As you know, because we've talked about this when I invited you on, I took the idea from Sir Helga and Mistress Tulia out of the West, and I'm sort of just doing my own version of it because the SEA has sort of become something else right now because we're trying to figure out how to be in quarantine and still participate in a reenactment society, and it's kind of become an interesting adventure. To say the least. And I just decided that because I currently am not working and have extra time on my hands, I was going to do this because I have the skills and people miss each other and I like getting to see faces and talk to faces, and it's so fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's
so
great.
Much for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a couple of different reasons that I had you to come on.
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to I'm going to warn everybody in advance that the first half is going to be about bardic, and the second half is going to be about some of the more sensitive topics that are happening in the SEA and in the world as a whole right now, and it may involve people in this podcast crying, and I wanted people to be aware of that in advance because I know that emotions are had about this current day and age. So, before we get into the emotions, I would like to talk about bardic.
Yes.
So, first, give me a little bit.
I think my roommate is trying to bug me while we're in the middle
totally
of a bardic discussion.
Of course.
One moment.
Of course, that's fine.
I'm good. All right, thanks. All right, I'll be recording for an hour. That was worth it because I got candy.
Yeah!
We managed to find the traditional, Hispanic candies. These are all over Latin America. I don't know if you can see. They're little strawberries.
I grew up eating those like candy.
Yeah, I'm going to set those aside because I'll probably need them for the second half of our interview.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Just a little bit of sugar to cope. But let's talk about bardic things.
Okay, bardic first. So I would like a brief history of you and your journey to bardic.
My journey to bardic, very brief, was I spent all of my mundane life in various different drama club, chorus, dance team through all of my adolescence. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to do theater. And then somewhere around, I want to say my junior, senior year, I wanted to be a visual artist. Teenagers they're fickle, they change their minds. They're very fluid creatures. And I was no exception. What's so funny?
Just the casual statement of teenagers are fickle.
Yeah,
understatement of the fucking year, yo.
Yeah, no, I was one of them. And when I started, but role-playing games and LARPs were kind of sort of my way of maintaining my love of theater. So when I got involved in the SEA in my mid-20s, I had made the decision, I'm too old to get involved in acting. My train is past. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go to LA and put my nose to the grindstone. And just, I just made that decision in my early 20s that I just was tired. Now, when I got to the SEA, I saw people like the Black Bard and True Thomas and Alexandria, who was at the time the lead singer of the Dervishes. second bard of Caid, really long time ago, like a decade and a half ago. And I started making friends with some of these people and becoming acquainted with some of these people. And they were all like, you should do bardic, you should do bardic. And I even had some of these people introduce me as a bard, even though I had never done a performance in an SCA space before. And due to circumstances involving the household that I was with at the time, I ended up falling in with the inept engineers, who were a very fringy pirate household at the time, and were all my friends from LARP. So I'd gotten like really close to them. So I just didn't do bardic for like a decade. I stopped having those connections with people that were more involved in like the formal SCA, and just because I had been burned by some people. About 5 years ago, my friend Erica, who I had made friends with through, or Lady Asa, as she's in the Middle Kingdom now, I became really good friends with her through role-playing games and through working together in Ren Fair. We were in the same fairy guild. And you know, we had learned songs together, and what I didn't know is that she was like a serious Scadian. Like, she was like a lady. Her parents were a part of Raven something, Black Raven. There's this big house in the Middle Kingdom that her parents are a part of, and like I can't remember the name right now, but she was in my immediate gaming group. We were camping in different households in the SCA, but we'd hang out at war. And she's like, you need to do bardic stuff. You have the talent. You knew all these people like over a decade ago. You need to come out. And then she convinced me to go for Bard of Calafia like 3 years ago. I didn't win, but I did get their favor, a baronial favor, which was like a personal like charm with their heraldry on it from at the time, their Excellencies Murin and Gairan. And they were like, we thought that your story was great. We thought it was amazing. And we want you to, as a personal favor to the barony, perform for court in the future. And that was like the spark that got me very actively involved in bardic for the past 3 years. I want to say 3 years. I will admit that I was playing the drum game for a while. I know how to do a few basic Middle Eastern beats. I was highly encouraged by my Thunder family, because I'm one of the members of Rolling Thunder, one of the hundreds of members of Rolling Thunder all over the known world. And I did get some encouragement to go from place to place and do the drumming game, and I did belly dance a little bit. I learned a little bit of American tribal from various classes. And this was during my fringy years, and it was explained to me by Erica, you were already doing the bardic game. That's the bardic game. That's the fire crawl game. You go from party to party and you entertain people. And I just was not in the group space to kind of link all of that together. So now I'm sort of taking my drumming, my belly dancing kind of experience and just merging that with more traditional performance art. And I am just throwing myself into pretty much any competition that I can now.
It's true. I've seen you compete in all of the bardic competitions at the events that we were both at together, which is a lot, because we are not inactive humans. We go to a lot of events, you and I. So it really is a lot. He's not understatement. Yeah. And I love watching you perform. It's super cool, and I like watching everybody perform those. So I say that, and I'm just like, I feel like I have to justify myself, because I literally will say that to anybody who does art. I'm just like, I love it. Are you going to tell me about things that you love? Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, I'm now excited also. Yes. And I'm like one of those puppies who just like gets excited from like all the people in the world, just doesn't know what to do with themselves. And I'm like, oh my God, you can do art. This is crazy. I love watching you perform. So that's super fun. And like, thank you for sharing with us your journey and how you got to here. Yeah. And then, so my next question is, there have to be tons of different flavors of bardic. Mm-hmm. What is your poison?
Ooh, if I love, really like composition and performance. You could say I'm a storyteller, an actor. Um, when it, I'm a poet. I really like composing poetry a lot. One of the things I love about the society is the creative and the anachronism part. I really like writing poetry that sounds period or maybe modern, but is about period things or is about events that happened in the SCA proper. Um, I would have to say my biggest poison, the one that I always go for, is I love writing poetry about personas and events that have happened in our SCA history in a period style and performing them. That is my go-to thing that I love doing.
That's super interesting. So you mean to say that you like to write poetry about our actual history, like the SCA's actual history?
Yes, I do. I do. I like to capture moments that I've experienced. I've done the first two pieces of a trilogy of poems focused um, on Sir Liam. Driven to Dream is the first one, which is
which Sir Liam is that?
Sir
Ulfson?
Liam William McConnell.
Yeah, Ulfson.
Ulfson,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Sir
yeah,
Liam
yeah.
Ulfson. Yes, there's so many out there in the known world.
I know.
Yeah,
I know
Liam
who
the
you were
Weaver.
talking about.
Yeah, Liam the Weaver. I'm on the first one was Driven to Dream, and that was inspired by a late night conversation at Great Western War that we had about during his vigil in the middle of the night, just about like what chivalry is, what it means, who are the four people that will speak for you, not if but when you're elevated. Like it's just having conversations with Sir Liam is like it's a very powerful experience. And I funneled that into an original piece. And then the second one was a memorial to his to uh,
Asa.
to yeah
Roxanne.
Issa, Countess Issa, yeah, which is the yellow hood, which I'm wearing it. This garb, she made a bunch of yellow hoods for us to wear during Sir Liam's vigil. So that is two. I know it's a trilogy. I don't know when I'm going to write the third one. He's been saying and posting a lot of deeply inspiring things. So maybe it might be about that. But I also, and when I say poetry, I don't necessarily mean like your classic, like rhyme and meter style poetry. I have a deep admiration for epic poetry, such as the Odyssey and the Edda. So poetry as storytelling is also something that I do and that I'm interested in.
I love that. I for like in the real world studied literature, like for a degree
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of thing. And one of my favorite courses was going through poetry and picking out the different philosophies and things behind it. My favorite thing to do was I went to a private college, and I had one of my teachers was a little bit reserved.
Right.
And if you've met me, which you have,
yeah,
she had no idea what she was walking into. And when she came into school, starting she started working for my school in my third, it was no. Okay, so I must have been like my last semester of my junior year.
Right.
Or like the first semester of my senior year. So everybody in the school knew who I was, all 27 of us who were in our department, and I had been there the longest. I ran the department.
Yeah.
This poor woman comes in and she's like, we're reading a Yeats poem. And she's trying to tell me that it's about heaven and it's about how when you live a life that's pure, you will ascend to heaven. And I'm like, do you know who Gates was? Have you read some stuff about his extracurricular activities? Because I'm pretty sure he's talking about an orgy. Them naked cherubs over there, not sure he's talking about angels. Pretty sure he's talking about ladies.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing that I have ever done, or that I've ever experienced with poetry. But I don't consider myself to be an artistic person. So I admire art, and I intake art in whatever facet I feel like at the time. Mm-hmm. But to be somebody who creates art, there is such... I don't even know. I'm inspired by people who create art, especially something like poetry, because you can't have poetry without some sort of creative pain. And I know that sounds really shitty, but it's kind of true. Mm-hmm. And so, like, any sort of art, I just like the passion that comes out of it.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan. So you had mentioned earlier on that you draw inspiration from personas, and you draw from moments in the real-time SCA history instead of in the reenacted history instead of the history.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you were telling a story about your trilogy and Sir Liam and his vigil. Mm-hmm. What other things are you inspired by? Are you inspired by moments like that, or are you inspired by a grander, I don't know, more general thing?
So I have a piece that I have, one of my staples that I like to call the unbroken line, or the unbroken chain, depending on how I'm feeling, which is not a poem. It is a extemporaneous narrative story. Extemporaneous in the sense that I do not have it written down. I have the beginning, middle, and end in my head. I have the memory, and then I just perform it in the moment. There are recordings of it, though, so I'm going to get better about watching recordings back so that I can have a more solid, like, historical memory of the piece. And that one is, it's a story about going out to the parking lot to smoke things with friends in their car away from the rest of the event. In the story, we were in the car, and then like we were listening to the radio, and then Freebird started playing, and I thought about like the origin of the SCA and how the SCA started in the late 60s, early 70s. And I kind of had this moment in the car with my friends. We were all wearing garb, where people would have been in their car hanging out at an event in garb when this song was new. And I felt deeply inspired by that. So I have turned that into an epic narrative. You know, the car is a dragon. I'm very specific to be respectful of other people's boundaries and legality and whatnot. We're smoking hookah because hookah is period. I make a very big deal about taking period things. I use fantasy elements, but like fantasy is an old genre. Okay, we had folktales and we had fairy tales in period. Then so I don't have any problems incorporating fantastical elements, because period poets and writers and storytellers didn't have a problem incorporating fantastical elements. I will say that this is not new. This is something that was inspired by the Sunbard in Atenveldt. The whole thing. I'm going from micro to macro. The Sunbard from Atenveldt, this young man, I do not remember his name. He was the Sunbard 3 Estrellas ago. And he did this performance where he took the origin story of Atenveldt, the founding of Atenveldt, from a kingdom, and the social conflict between the Prince of Atenveldt at the time and the King of the West at the time, and turn that into an epic involving phoenixes and giant battles. And I was deeply, deeply inspired by that. And I had kind of already been doing that like on a small scale. So recording the history of the SCA in a period style, like we have personas on an individual level in the SCA. We have research persona, but the SCA itself also has a persona. And I want to create narratives that speak to that persona. You talked about philosophy before in poetry and in writing. I am a dreamer. There is a big debate. There's been a big debate for decades now between dreamers and gamesters. I'm playing a game. I'm living the dream. I don't think it is a dichotomy that I'm very open about the fact that I am a dreamer, but I understand why people treat it like a game. I understand gamesters. I understand that different people have fun different ways. And I respect the work that people that would be categorized as gamesters do to make the dream possible.
You just said a very interesting thing to
Oh,
me.
I did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't sound so shocked, silly man. You are, you said dreamer versus gamester.
Mm-hmm.
In a bunch of the episodes prior to this one, I've talked with my guests about how I sort of like my interest in the SCA sort of ebbs and flows, and right now it's sort of in an ebb situation, and but it's something that Brandon loves, like with everything about him. So he would be a dreamer, and I would be a gamester, and I never even thought about it that way because like they both have their things, they both are valid, but it is totally a different like focus and philosophy coming from the two of us. So that's super interesting, and I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. But yeah, no, my philosophy, my art is, and I will be completely transparent about this. My art is pushing a dreamer agenda, because I see a lot of people that are gamesters are getting burnt out. They're getting burnt out, and they're having a hard time finding the joy. They're having a hard time finding the joy.
Sorry, there's nobody here anymore.
No, they're just gone.
There's just a red background. Nothing at all is happening.
And you know, everybody has their way of coping that has been in the game for a long time. There's a Laurel that I know that because of all the messed up stuff that they've been through over the years, the only time they ever see the dream anymore is through the eyes of new people. Bringing new people to events, like giving them rides, giving them encouragement, tutoring them. That's the only, they can't experience it themselves anymore. And that really is sad.
They're not the only one. I have also heard some of my peer and non-peer friends say the same thing. Like you can only do so much when you've been doing it for so long that at some point it's no longer fun. Yeah. There's no when your growth is really reliant on the way that people look at you, it's hard because not everybody's going to understand. So that's a whole...
It's a whole episode.
Yeah, but we have one more question that I want to get in before we get into that.
Next question, we got it. Yeah.
I would like to know, what is your dream bardic project?
Oh.
Like if you had any resource that you could want, or possibly need at your disposal, like money is not a factor. Everything in the world actually worked for once. Like, what is your dream project?
Okay.
That's SCA.
Dream project, SCA related.
SCA related.
My dream project, unlimited funds, would be a sub-household. And I say sub-household because it would be people from like different households coming together. that is a formal acting troupe with period costumes, period stage props, going around SCA events, portraying like characters. If I could be a little bit more concrete about it, I was part of a group, a guild, a Ren Fair guild called Willow Glen. It's been around for like 15, 16 years. I'm not part of them anymore, but while I was part of them, we were talking about how we would go to Potrero. And I had pitched this idea where I was like, the SCA is not a place for fairies, but it is a place for actors and performers. What we should do is that we should create personas that are all working actors, probably late period, like late 1500s, and take all of these costumes, these fairy costumes we've made, and remake them 100% using period materials and techniques that stage actors would have, and portray our fairy characters at war. And then when people give us, guff about it, we will say, oh, no, I'm an actor. My name's Edward. We're just a performing troupe here to entertain your lovely event. We're interested in garnering patronage from the majesties. Could you facilitate an introduction?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then have maybe a mobile stage like a traveling troupe would have, something that we could pack up all of our props and supplies in, just like they did in period. Of course, we wouldn't be using period stage makeup because it's poisonous. We would be using,
obviously.
But I would love to have, like I said, money's no object, like period, like containers, but put the safer makeup in the period containers. So like when we're getting ready, it looks like we're putting on period stage makeup. That is my bardic dream. And put on like period plays, or even morality plays, like earlier period plays, or even have a set of masks and put on Greek plays. And that is
Have you talked to Master Giuseppe about any of this? Because that man...
Directly, no. I am working. I have a long-term project with some comedic improvisers here in San Diego that are also SCA people. And we have been in dialogue with Silenus and with each other about doing a Commedia dell'arte troupe.
Okay.
And taking modern, comedy skills and experience and applying it to Commedia dell'arte. Which is essentially, comedic improvising using masks. It's an Italian form of theater. It's very late period. It starts late period. That's the thing. So it's like the really elaborate stuff is post period, but we've talked about it. And so I'm kind of already working on something. But like I said, unlimited budget would be the acting troupe.
That's awesome. And I think it's cool that you're finding an in-budget stepping stone, I guess, because what you described to me sounds like a flavor of a comedic troupe, a traveling troupe, but I could totally see it. It's the whole wooden trailer type situation. What's that thing that Mistress
Vardo?
Yeah, thank you.
Vardo.
Talking in my own head, knew who I was talking about. Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's just one of those things where I feel like sometimes people, especially people that cross over as entertainers from fair and SCA, they get in their own heads about things, and I'm just no, let's make our costumes out of period materials. Let's show historically.
Find a middle ground.
I mean, we're
supposed to be doing the same time frame anyways.
Yeah, Midsummer Night's Dream is a period work.
It is.
And people had period fairy costumes that they when they were performing those pieces. There's no oh, that is beautiful tattoo.
This is a blueprint
for
the globe. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is actually I pulled this from a journal from the 16th century, late 1500s. And Duchess Anna out of the Outlands did it for me.
Nice. Oh, I've heard about her
She is
and her
the
work.
best. She's the best. She's gonna be on an episode in July. Really
Yes.
excited. Um, okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a brief uh, transition.
Sure. Okay. Here we go.
So we are going to talk about some hard things,
Okay.
and because I had, I'm gonna be a little bit weird with my words for once. Of as somebody who is not afraid of public speaking and is not afraid of being the loud human, have been fighting with myself about this topic for a little while.
Yeah.
But this weekend I found out some shit that's just sort of kind of put me over the end. Like, I'm not saying that it's not a suffering Olympics, everything is shitty right now.
Right. Exactly.
But I think it's time that we really listen to each other, because I keep seeing my friends try to share their stories and try to share their opinions about things, and they're not being listened to. So I'm going to try to fix that. And I'm just one human.
Yeah.
But it's something.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on inclusivity and diversity in the SCA? And yes, it's a very broad and general question, but we've got to start at the beginning.
I think that we have been an island in the SDA, a subculture unto ourselves for so long that many people have lost sight that we're in the modern world. Just because you pay your fee at gate, you don't stop being Puerto Rican, you don't stop being Black, you don't stop being a woman, you don't stop being disabled, you don't stop being trans, you don't stop being LG or B, you don't stop, those things don't, and there's other things if I didn't cover anything, any intersections, but you don't stop being an intersection of an oppressed group of people when you pay gate. And it's like, that's how we've been running things for so long. And things are starting to change. But like, we've already lost so many people. So many people have already left. And I just think that we need to keep working, and we need to work faster. And then that's my opinion on it. You know, like, we're living in really hard times right now where we can't look away. And I have tried to talk to people and tell them, and so many people are just getting pushback. You're being loud, you're being unreasonable. And hindsight's 2020. You know, whoever sounded like they were screeching and unreasonable and just wanted to ruin the event 3 years ago, like, you look back and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I listen to those people? And I myself have had those moments, you know, and it's really, really happening right now in the SCA. And we just need to we're making really great strides on the society level, but right now it's like chaos locally, if that makes any sense.
It does. And you're not wrong. It's hard out here in our kingdom. There is, I don't even know what it is, because it's more than chaos. It's insanity. There's just people falling off the face of the earth, and nobody's saying anything about it. And I don't understand why not. So I'm going to say some shit about it, because What the fuck? My friend, like, it's gotten to the point where so many of my friends have said that they don't feel safe coming back, that there's no point for me to come back. if they're not going to come back because all of my friends aren't going to be playing? So how do you live in a world where this thing that you care about so much, that you're supposed to be so in love with, all of like other human beings that I don't know are making my friends so uncomfortable that they don't want to play?
Yeah. People are like quitting left and right. They're just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And I'm like, wait, no, wait,
this is supposed to be the good thing.
Yes. And
the rest of the world is so shitty. This is supposed to be the good thing.
Yeah. And it's like headache inducing. I am, and I don't know if it's just that I've developed such a thick skin that, and even then, like my skin's real thin, you know what I mean? Like I've built so much patience. And since we're being like candid about these issues, this is my narrative, and I'm going to talk about something that is very controversial, but we need to have things in context. When Trimgate happened, I made the active decision to be the diversity and inclusivity that I wanted in the SCA. So rather than quitting, I leaned in. Everything I've done for the past 3 years, the awards I've won, the events I've volunteered for, the bardic performances I've done, the friendships that I have built, the understandings that I have had are a direct result of that decision. And I feel that many people asked of me, the only thing we're asking of you, Silenus/Hector, is that you just accept, you go on the assumption that people in the SCA are starting from a place of good faith. And I did that. But over the past month, with how some peers have been behaving, I feel like I've been slapped in the face. I apologize. I didn't mean to leave you stunned, but I just, I have to be honest.
Don't apologize for telling me the truth. When I decided to do this, I knew in a time as chaotic as it is now that there were going to be episodes that I had that would flip tables and rustle feathers, and I accepted it, and I have my pelican backing me. So don't apologize.
We have too many people that are doing the good work and are getting like yelled at because they're not doing it fast enough. And I will admit, I have been one of the people that has been like, this is really slow. We need change. And I've had people who have assured me, we're working on it. Be patient. We're working on it. And I'm starting to see the results of a lot of hard work at the society level, only to have peers and multiple kingdoms just spout off the most tone deaf things. And it's like, what are you doing? People are putting in the work. Why? Like, I get it. I'm brown, People have been socially conditioned to dismiss me. But like, it's baffling, and where there are these people that you like thought were in your corner about things, and then all of a sudden they're just not. And I am doing my best to absorb all of these amazingly supportive people I don't even know in the SCA that are like, I hear you, I'm checking in on you, I've made so many new friends, but like, it's like everyone's waking up, you know what I mean? And there's just a lot of really, and I don't mean this as an insult, this is just a statement of fact, there's a lot of like really well-meaning white folks that thought everything was handled, that thought the dust had settled after all of the controversy we had in Trimgate, and they're looking around and they're just all like, why does Hector still feel this way? Why does Ducky still feel this way? Why does Castleknock still feel this way? I thought this was settled. Wait, you're the problem? How can you be the problem? Okay, let me reasonably talk to you about it. And then they have a meltdown on them, and they're like, you're not the person I thought you were. On all levels. You know? From the newest new person all the way to the peerage. To be a fly on the wall with some of the most outspoken and peers who have taken this time to grow and understand and listen, to have to be in the same room with some of the flagrant bigots and racists that have been allowed to be inducted into peerage orders, I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. Because at least in the fringe community and the pirate encampments, we can just say, get out. We're done with you. You're not captain of this ship anymore. We're throwing you off the boat. But it's much more complicated with peerage orders. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
understatement of that is real.
You know, like...
And the SEA has done a lot in the past couple of months to really show that they're trying.
Mm-hmm. But
that's the SEA as a whole.
Yeah.
It's the society creating the DEI officer. That's a big thing. That's a big step.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big step up here when most of us are down here.
Yeah.
So it needs to also step down all the way for everything before it really impacts us at a local level. And when we're in a situation right now where the mundane world or the real world is in such fucking shambles that the SCA can't find its ground, it's not gonna, nothing's gonna change. And I say that with so much love and respect for my kingdom and for my game and for the people who participate in it. But we are all saying these wonderful things and having these fantastic ideas. But then it stops there because, well, we're not playing SCA right now, so it doesn't matter, right? It'll matter when, we'll get to it when we have events again, right? No. And I'm like, look, bitch, I have a whole fucking thing about my real life, like right now is currently being fucked by a greater company that said to themselves, we don't need to inform them of this information yet because there's still time. But y'all haven't met Rosie. When Rosie puts her mind to shit, it's done 3 months in advance. And then I get fucked over because a bigger overarching company doesn't understand that people need time to get better. So we're having all these thoughts and all these ideas, and then nobody's implementing them. Or everybody's saying, oh, well, that person will do it.
What I think we need to do, which I feel that society is doing, but let me rephrase this. Society's fine. I'm gonna just say that. Society's doing great. What kingdoms and baronies need to do is take this time with the people that have the energy. I want to put that caveat on there because we're going through a lot right now. To do the work, do the restructure, establish the guidelines, appoint your DEI officer now. Get them on Zoom, have them take Zara's classes. Do it now while we are all at home and we can't go to events. Establish strong boundaries. Kick flagrantly racist and bigoted and people, you know, out of our communities. Use this time where we are all needing to be at home to keep the spread of the virus contained as a way of purging the virus.
Hector, I'm losing you. Hector, I'm losing you.
So when we are, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, there you are.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, the last thing that I heard was put the DEI officers in place now.
Yes, put the DEI officers on the local level in place now. Kick out the bigoted and racist people that are in our communities out now. Take this time while we are all having to stay indoors to stop the physical virus from, overtaking us, and purge out the sociological virus, the social virus that we are dealing with right now. So that when we walk out that door, when the vaccine happens, when we enter stage 4, and when we're able to interact with each other at events again, we don't have to worry about alt-right racist person making our, people uncomfortable. Let's work on our language to be more inclusive to our disabled people. Let's take a look at disability rights nonprofits that we can start raising funds for, using our educational nonprofit status. There's so much work that we could be doing. And as I said, from the people that have the energy to do it right now, so we don't have to do the work when we're in a big, huge crowd, because looking somebody in the face and their eyes gives them a human element, and it makes it really, really hard to get rid of problem people when you have to do it to their face.
I think
I mean, does that make sense? It
does.
might be a little harsh.
No, it's not. Actually, I think it's a little soft.
Okay.
Because I think that, so I took recently, I hope you took it too, and I hope that the other people who are watching this took it, the SA census. And
I did.
One of the questions was, has a crime ever been committed against you at an SEA event or at an SEA sponsored event, like a demo or whatever? And then it asks, it's like a yes or no, and then it says, did you report it to the event stewards? Did you report it to mundane authorities? And it asks all these questions. Well, I have been the victim of a crime at an SEA event. It was at a Interkingdom War. I am usually very busy at events, as you may know. And one day during this camping event, I went back to my tent, and all of our shit was just fucked with. Nothing was taken. Literally, so I had a table, a card table with that was all nice, with all of my jewelry laid out, and all of my everything organized, because I have this beautiful setup that I'm super anal about keeping organized at events.
Yeah.
That table was untouched, but everything else was just fucked with. So all of my clothes were pulled off of the hangers and pulled out of my bins. All of my shoes were fucked around. Our mattress was flipped over, and our blankets were on the floor. Whoever did this didn't steal anything and did not damage anything, but just fuck with my stuff. And this happened 3 years ago.
Oof.
And I did not report it because I didn't want to be the next piece of gossip. And that is the socially implied piece of information that is how my whole life has been. It's always been unless it's obvious, don't talk about it. We need to talk about it. That's the problem. So I don't think that we need to be gentle about it. I do, however, want to say that, all politics aside, I don't give a shit what your politics are. Don't be a fucking racist.
Right.
Because it's not just conservatives that are racist. It's across the board.
Yeah.
Politics aside.
It just, I had this conversation where at a war one night, and with some friends, and I was talking about how do you know Thorfinn Skullsplitter that camps with me?
I have heard of him, yes.
So big black man, fantastic individual, one of my closest friends and my patriarch of the Thunder Clan that I'm a part of. And people that we know in fair and at war would call him Oreo. There was this joke where, like, you know, he's like dark and black on the outside, but in the inside he's very white because, I don't know, he likes metal music, because he likes dressing up like a pirate, because he's a Norse pagan, like all of these things. And this was, I'm gonna say like 2 patrols ago, I like reached my limit. It just wasn't funny anymore. And I was all like, this isn't funny. I don't like it. And I don't like the idea, like I told him about it. He's like, I don't like the idea that, like, you know, apparently you have to be white on the inside to like be our friend or participate in this hobby. Like, I don't like that implication. And my friend Spencer was like, yeah, as if whiteness is the goal. And that like hit me in my chest. And, you know, Chani was there in that conversation as well. And, you know, Chani has always been a peacemaker, you know, and you know Chani. And Chani was like, I just thought it meant he was full of like sweet fluff. You know how she is. Like, she's always, and I'm just all like, girl, it's not about that. It's about racism. Our very progressive, accepting friends are acting in a racist way, and we need to accept that, and we need to establish a boundary. And these are the moments, and these are the moments that people are, and Spencer was not a person of color. I want to note that. Spencer's white. When he made that statement, and he said it with so much passion, because Spencer gets it. And these are the conversations that people are having and have been having for years. And everybody is kind of, these conversations all got funneled into the SCA, like diversity, inclusivity, and equity group. And unfortunately, that group is a pressure cooker. I have a lot of respect for Joshua and for, I'm not going to pronounce their name correctly, Sivaru. She's the, Sivaru, the other moderator. They're fantastic. But, like, it's bad. It's very bad. People have left because things have gotten so bad there. And there's really good conversations and there's really hard conversations going on there. One of the things that I would like to talk to you about, Rosie, is there are a lot of people like you and others that want to amplify Black and brown voices, and that's great. That's wonderful. Problem that we are running into, and I'm talking about events in the past couple days, is that not all of the Black and brown voices are agreeing.
Sorry, I was muted. I wasn't speechless. That was my curious face.
We are disagreeing with one another on specific things, which is one of the reasons why I think that a diversity officer committee, like multiple individuals from different walks of life, would probably work better for our kingdom and for other kingdoms than just one person.
Especially our kingdom.
Yeah. A good example is there is controversy with the black chains. I think the black chains are great. I see them and I feel safe, but there are other people of color that think that that is a tone-deaf gesture, considering that chains symbolize slavery. And there are people of color that are in conflict with what I know. And I didn't think of that either immediately. And
it's also hard for me because I know the household where that idea started.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my own, like, I know the person where it came out of, and it would never, that's just like never something that would ever cross their mind. But again, we come back into, like, a topic that I've also talked about in some earlier episodes is like, it's hard to become a peer in a kingdom where you have to like figure out, where you're waiting for people to like you. You're waiting for
Yeah.
people to perceive you a certain way. So like, you can't always make somebody know you. So there are going to be people who don't know where that idea came from and
Yeah.
the type of amazing human that it came out of.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, just because they don't know them, doesn't denigrate from the fact that their feelings are still valid. That is
absolutely.
still a thing that happened. Like, a butterfly could land in my drink, and I would be like, oh, look, a butterfly. And I would be like excited about it for a second, but then it would have drowned.
Right. Yeah. It's very,
so, like,
yeah.
It's
and
still,
it's like, we just have to make sure we're in the right direction with amplifying voices.
mm-hmm.
We just have to make sure that there's multiple voices at the table. You know what I mean? Because
sorry.
Like, I tried to break it down in some posts, because we did the Ask a Peer where we had 2 African-American knights, like, talk about how they were in support of the Black Chains and why, and that is their decision. And you had other people of color be like, I cannot believe that they said that. I'm leaving the SCA. Over what was supposed to be a gesture of inclusivity. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating. But I can't help but understand, but I'm also frustrated.
It's frustrating. I can see the frustration. I can understand the frustration because I am watching my friends say, oh, I'm done with the SCA. And it sucks, but I get it. The SCA is not fun right now. And I'm trying to make it fun. I'm trying to do these silly videos twice a week to make it fun, to make somebody laugh, or to, like, I want to help one person. And if I help one person, then I've done, then this had a purpose. But
yeah,
why would you want to talk to me about a committee? Where does my opinion hold weight? Or why would it hold weight?
I mean, I struggle a lot in my conversations with people, and this is something we've talked about off camera, where I want to give all women a platform to speak because men have been speaking enough. I'm trying to find the line between, as a cis man, I need to shut up and listen to women's voices, all women's voices, Black women, brown women, trans women, white women, they're all women. Assigned female at birth, non-binary individuals as well. Don't want to exclude my, assigned female at birth, non-binary siblings. I don't want to exclude them. And I'm trying to find that line between, like, being a person of color and being queer and not speaking over. When I get into arguments with certain white female cis peers that we all know about issues that I feel they're being tone deaf about, it is frustrating because I don't know, am I talking over? Am I being a misogynist, like, by taking up space? Or am I standing up for myself as a brown person? And it is not easy. It is a tough line to walk, but we need to have these conversations. That's why I want to talk to you about this, because I think your voice is just as important as mine. As a feminist, I feel that your voice is just as important as mine. Does that make sense? Oh, I can't hear you. I think
Sorry,
you're muted.
I muted myself.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you wanting to talk to me about this and feeling comfortable enough to talk to me about this topic. I would say, and I just had this conversation recently with some really good friends of mine about how I don't feel like my voice matters because I am white. And there have been enough white ladies talking about inclusivity and diversity and whatever. And even if I don't fit into the heteronormative or whatever, like socially normal, like sexuality and life preferences, like I don't think that it would make me a partner, if that makes sense. It's really complicated, and it goes back into my whole like issue of like I'm only useful to a certain extent, and here I don't know how to be useful. I don't know how to be useful, so I don't think that I am useful. Because I'm sitting here and being like, I've had my own shit that's happened in my life, you've had your shit that's happened in your life, and all of those people have had shit that's happened in their life. And they're all different. Other people, and like, but I can't relate to the way that you grew up. And it's, so like, I feel like I denigrate from your voice because I'm white and that I would rather be quiet than take away. I would rather sit here and hold you on my shoulders while you yell than me be seen as the one that's yelling. That makes sense?
All right. Do I got you back?
Oh, yeah.
Back. Okay.
What was the last thing you heard?
Yeah. I would, me being on your shoulders and me shouting out.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I think that's awesome, and I feel like that there's definitely a difference between dominating the conversation and between weaponizing your own privilege. Even though I have struggled as like a cis man about like, how have I done this, done that? And there are some days where I'm like, I'm just going to have to like take a deep breath, step forward, and command the attention of the room. You know, because other people aren't being listened to. You know.
So you pull a Larissa? Sorry.
Yeah,
that was just because she's loud and obnoxious. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes.
You knew what I meant.
I know what you mean. I'm kind of like, you know, trying to balance that as much as I can. But there are some days where I lose my patience, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna have to like use my very like privileged male voice and just bellow like, this racism will not be tolerated. Like.
So that actually leads me into one of my last questions before I'm going to actually toss it your way to see if you have any questions for me.
Sure.
So you had just said, like, to weaponize the privilege that you have. I'm having a struggle because I don't know what to say or how to help unless it's like my ex-friend is asking for, like, is experiencing this thing, and then I have a direction. I don't know how to have a general direction. So what could I do? Why would my voice matter?
Well, I mean, step one, you're already actively doing it by having people of color on your show speaking their truth, having assigned female at birth individuals, so we can get the whole umbrella, on your show to speak their truth. That is one step. You are using the platform that you have and the skills that you have to get those voices out there. And having the hard conversations. Your feelings are valid, but I just want to tell you that your actions are in the right direction. We're living in an extraordinary time right now. And what is so extraordinary about the days that we are in right now is that in previous years, when we've had big movements such as Ferguson or Occupy, there has been a resentment of people who stay at home and just post and just blog. The whole, you're just a keyboard cowboy. Oh, it doesn't matter how much money you donate. You're not out here on the streets. And because of COVID and what we're dealing with right now, that stigma is gone. Now is the time. We need everyone to do podcasts, post on Twitter, to donate to the Bail Fund, to all of these different projects, the NAACP, to Project Zero, and we need people marching on the streets with masks, doing their best to social distance. I've been to one march, and it wasn't an actual march. I went to a caravan march. Black Lives Matter San Diego put public health at the forefront of their concerns, because you can be concerned about more than one thing at the same time. That is a thing. And they organized a caravan march where they said, everybody stay in your cars, wear your masks, step outside and hold up signs when you're parked, but socially distance from one another. Public health is important, but let's get out here and drive our cars all over San Diego County, have our voices be heard, start some traffic jams, and make it happen. So now is the time to get involved. If you do not have the emotional energy or the physical energy for whatever reason, now is, as I said, now is the time to get involved. And there's been a great groundswell everywhere, and we can really change the SCA. We can really change it for the better. If we can make our hobby a haven for inclusivity, it's just going to go up from here. And I think that you are doing the work. If you feel like you need to be doing more, if you can find a caravan protest so you don't have to be exposed to other people, go to that. If you can, if you have some extra funds, $5, there's itch.go is a wonderful independent gaming website that sells games from independent developers. They have a $5 donation Black Lives Matter charity bundle, and you'll get a whole bunch of games that you can download to your computer. They did not pay me to add. This is not advertisement. These are just examples of things that you can do. You can amplify Black voices and Black artists. You can write a letter to our society arts and sciences minister. He's a very nice man. I've talked to him on Facebook a couple of times, and he's doing wonderful things for Pride. But maybe, after Pride is done, or maybe at the same time that he's doing Pride, we can amplify our Black and brown artists in the SCA. There's, and just ask, and I'm sure he'll be open to the idea. Or do it yourself. Just be like, hey, Rosie Speaks is sponsoring amplifying Black and brown artist voices. If you are a Black person or a brown person in the SCA that does ANS, send me pictures, send me your information. I want to share it with everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to help me organize that?
Oh, well, hit me up in the Facebook chat and we'll make it happen.
All right, because that sounds like a great idea. So I have a nerve disorder that makes it really hard for me to do things be alive. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, I feel you.
So this is what I can do right now. The information that you gave is super valid, and I will keep it in because there are going to be people who are more able-bodied or more something than
Absolutely.
I can that will use the information to what they need. But I fucking love that idea. I'm actually going to reach out to, I'm not sure you know Logan out of the West. He hosts Asks the Knights. I'm going to reach out to him and a couple of my other friends to get that. Because Rosie Speaks is now going to do that. And I'm going to tell all my friends, and they're going to bring me all of their friends. And so, great. You're responsible for that idea now. So thanks for giving me good ideas. How dare you?
You asked me for some and I just gave, Well,
that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And on that note, I thank you so much for coming and joining me on Rosie Speaks. Thank you for sharing your voice and dealing with me fumbling over my own self because I don't know what the right words are.
It's all good.
So yeah, I guess look forward to having sponsored art now that I will probably, to be perfectly honest, have already put into the videos I haven't edited yet that will be coming out before this one.
Yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. And it's his fault. And so I'm going to give him all the credit for that. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, we should come back on to talk about labor. But another time. Maybe a round table with some pelicans. Just putting that in there.
What an interesting concept. I might
All
have to
good.
think about that.
All right.
So fill out my form, because otherwise I'll forget.
I'll fill out the form.
Right. Fill out the form.
All right. I just wanted to put that in there before I left.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.